Where's the crash site now?
Over there. We're getting closer.
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again, bringing you Chapter 3 in my Enslaved hard difficulty video walkthrough. And this is the metal this is the metal tower level when I can finally find functioning words. My goodness. And it's in one video, but unfortunately that video is 25 minutes long, so do bear with me if I do get, a little fucking monotone throughout this, but talking to yourself for 24 minutes is, a one-way ticket to the insane asylum, unless you have gameplay on and you're, I don't know, wearing a headset recording it. There's a very thin line between insanity and actual creative content. But this level's pretty simple. At the start of it, I generally run around finding as many orbs as I can because there's a lot of little stashes hidden around corners and what have you. And now that we can upgrade things, we might as well take advantage of it because this game gets very simple the more upgraded you are. And the luxury of it is the sooner you upgrade the things you need, you can start upgrading the things you don't need and just, altogether becoming a much more stronger character. But there's a fight at the start of this level, and right now, because I recorded this such a long time ago, I can't remember if I skip it or if I actually do it, because if you're not confident in the combat, there are a few areas of Enslaved where you can actually skip the encounter completely. And this is one of them when you climb over the lorry, but I think I climb over, skip it, and then go back to fight them, because regardless of your feelings on the combat or on your skill level when it comes to applying it, you will get more experience if you kill everything that moves, so it's always best to try and get into every scrap you can. And the luxury of it as well is if you are having a tough time with the fighting on this game, you will get better at it eventually, the more you do it, because not only is dying a bad thing when it comes to your pride, it is also an awfully humbling thing because you will learn lessons very quickly because the game forces you to. If you keep being punished mercilessly, you have to somehow rise above it, and the only way you can ever truly get, above something very difficult is by you yourself playing on a whole different level of skill. And the only way to get there is to get shit stomped for a couple hours. This does not work in all, mediums of life. For instance, you're not going to get better at football by getting your ass beat up, but you'll certainly get better if you play it for a longer duration. But make sure you go in there. And when I climbed over this container, this is me effectively skipping the fight, because I use the balconies, I use the walkways, and I'm just trying to get as many of the orbs as I can. And if you come over here, you can just lift the car up and you can help Tripp get across and all that good stuff. And it's all nice and simple, but I'm probably going to go back and start causing some havoc because there's about four enemies that are all very close to each other, and you'll notice they're sending off like sonar pulses, those beacons. If you walk into those areas, you will trigger them to awaken, and if their circle that they're emitting is overlapping any of the other circles, it will awaken their friends as well. So if you trigger one, you'll generally trigger the entire bunch, and early on this can be an intimidating factor because it can be quite hard to get used to the combat on this game because it's very different to all the other games I've played, but as soon as you do, it's a piece of piss. So I always charge my stun if I've got a couple of seconds to spare before they attack me, so I can guarantee that every attack will get through. You'll notice I'm pushing the camera to look at the enemies behind me. If you see an enemy with a number above its head like that, it means that counts down is going to indicate them getting reinforcements, so you need to kill them. It doesn't matter though if you don't, because it's more enemies to kill, it's more experience, as I've mentioned. And one strategy that you're going to see me do a lot when I'm pulling out all the stops to win is I'll beat somebody up for a while, but if I realise I'm not going to kill them, I'll start shooting them from point blank with the plasma round. And it's a really good strategy for finishing people off cheekily, because some enemies on hard will take a massive pounding for no other reason than the fact that they want to be assholes. So sometimes it's better to just use your gun when all else fails. But now that you've cleared that out and you've got the experience for doing it, if you go over to that yellow car, I think he pushes it to the side and then you can let Tripp get through. That's not the right way, Chris. What the fuck are you doing? There you go. There's the icon telling me. And there's a cutscene of yet more teamwork between the two companions now forced to help each other, which is a mechanic that the game plays on very well, and if you've not played it yet, you should, because it is definitely a delight. And I should have probably got more water before I started this, because I am running low, but I don't like pausing commentaries because you kind of lose your train of thought, you kind of lose your rhythm. Yeah, and it's one of those things where sometimes you can be onto something really, really cool, and if you stop it, you'll just forget it, and my memory is really bad for shit like that. So right now, I'm either picking my ass, messing with my PC, or checking my phone, because I was stood around for a couple of seconds. Should have edited it out, but it wasn't too long, so it's not too bad. And as we push up to the top of these ruins, a lot of this is going to be repeating the things that we learnt in the second level, where we're going to have turrets shooting at us, and we have to somehow evade them, get to them, destroy them, and then use them against the friends. And it's pretty much just that on a more complicated level. Because here it's going to be introducing more turrets, more enemies, more awkward jumping sections, and a couple of, longer ways around to do simpler things. But this is a bit of a quiet moment right now, which is always nice to see. Because that's what a lot of games get wrong when it comes to pacing these days. If you're balls to the wall from part 1 to part 10, your game's eventually going to either get exhaustive, like some of the Call of Duty campaigns that people have criticised for just being too much, too quick, too soon, or you're just going to get bored because it's going to take away the impact. You need to have a juxtaposition of ideas. You need to have the quiet moments, the calm, before the storm, as it were, before you go into the craziness, to give the craziness the real edge it deserves. And a lot of games get that wrong. And I think LA Noire is really well paced when it comes to stuff like that, because I expected every single case to go to a running section, then to a chase down in a car, then to a gunfight, and I'm really happy that it hasn't fallen into, that fucking cliched routine of just repeating those mechanics. Instead, it doses them out in such a deliberate way that when they do turn up, it's like, oh, it's one of these moments again. And an even cooler factor of that, which is going to pay dividends for people that don't really want to play that game, is you can completely skip those sections if you don't want to do them. And I'm not going to do that for the guide, but I'm definitely going to advise people to do that, because if you want the easiest way through the game, it's called skipping everything you fucking can. It is that simple. Well, it looks like we appear to have found another quiet moment once again, walking through, picking up orbs and what have you. So I'm going to use this opportunity to go off topic a little bit, because you're just going to see me repeating the strategies that I've already established. And I'm going to do something that I do a lot, and I talk about movies a lot, but I don't really talk about movie news. So combining the two into, Muse... Nah, that didn't really work as intended. Anyhow, movie news. I'm on IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, one of the finest websites when it comes to all things film. And I'm just going to look into the movie news section. And before I do so, this bit right now, all you need to do is use Tripp to distract while you swing across towards these turrets and get rid of them. Be careful, because they will shred you dead if you give them chance, and you can actually fall off a ledge on the left turret if you go too low, so be careful of that. But anyhow, on the movie news at this moment in time, let's see what we've got. So Ron Howard won't direct the Da Vinci Code sequel, The Lost Symbol. And for anybody that doesn't know, Dan Brown wrote another book that featured the same character from his Da Vinci Code and the Angels and Demons, and it was entitled The Lost Symbol. And it's pretty much based entirely around Washington DC, as he's going underground and finding all these ridiculous, fucking motifs that have symbolic pasts, and it draws back to the stonemasons and all sorts of madness, and the pyramids on the fucking dollar, and all these different symbols that are scattered around Washington DC. And truth be told, I didn't enjoy the book anywhere much as near as I did Angels and Demons or the Da Vinci Code. I actually felt it was a little bit weak, and that's not because I'd built it up to be something different after the majesty that was the Da Vinci Code, because I didn't think Da Vinci Code was half as good as Angel as Demons. I thought it was a fantastic idea, and at the time it pissed off a lot of people that are so fucking devout on a belief system that they can't even contemplate the consideration that it might be, slightly wrong or made up. But it had a big impact, and I don't know if you guys saw the film, but the Da Vinci Code apparently is a massive piece of shit. I didn't see it. I know Tom Hanks is in it, but I did see Angels and Demons, and although it was absolutely nothing like the book, and the book is fantastic if you've not read it, it was still a decent, a film to watch. So the story that we've got here is the Da Vinci Code made 758 million worldwide, which just makes me think, what the fuck is going on there? Because if that is such a piece of shit, how the hell did it get so much exposure? Aside from, making out that Jesus had kids with Mary Magdalene and all that crazy shit, or whatever it went down. But the sequel made a reduced 485 million, so naturally, as it says, Sony are going to be, you know, going for the hat trick and hired Stephen Knight last year to adapt The Lost Symbol, the third book in the Robert Langdon series, into a screenplay. And apparently though, neither franchise star Tom Hanks nor director Ron Howard were confirmed to return, so we could have a different leading man. Wow, that is pretty crazy. That, can you imagine? I seriously cannot imagine. And I mean, I really like Tom Hanks, and truth be told, the guy hasn't done fuck all in ages. I don't know what he's doing these days, and I do miss him because the guy can. But yeah, who would you choose to be the new Robert Langdon? I don't really know who would be my choice. Anyhow, see what the next story is. So we've got Max Martini joins Guillermo del Toro's giant robot and alien film Pacific Rim. So, I've never really heard of Max Martini, but I recognise him because he was in an episode of Lie to Me. He played an undercover cop. But I've not heard of Pacific Rim, so it doesn't really do me much at all. So let's see what the next one is. Sundance selects Crowns per Palm for US, means nothing to me. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Sam Raimi being shooting Oz the Great and Powerful. And if anybody doesn't know, Sam Raimi is the guy behind the Evil Dead. He also directed some of the Spider-Man films. He's a really, really good director at times, and most of his films are pretty great. I mean, I really liked Drag Me Down to Hell, which is beast, and Evil Dead is just genius. So, see what it says here. Press releasing shooting on Sam Raimi's Oz, blah blah blah. I'd hoped we might have some small casting additions. Nothing new on the front. However, James Franco, which is a name I was trying to grasp it on a previous video and forgot. Guy from 127 Hours, guy from Your Highness. Mila Kunis, who is the voice of Meg in Family Guy. She was also in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and she is fine. She is really, really attractive. Rachel Weisz, who is always a stud in everything she does, and Michelle Williams lead the cast, apparently, which looks pretty impressive. This part's a little self-explanatory, by the way, on the gameplay. Make sure you kill the guy before he calls in reinforcements, or you will have to deal with them. It's entirely your choice. But anyhow, let's look back to this. The release does have a few good tidbits of info, however, such as the fact that the cinematographer Peter Deming, Evil Dead 2 Drag Me to Hell, The Lost Highway, is shooting. That's great news. I've been a big fan. Oh, blah blah, we don't need your opinion, son. Additionally, Howard Berger is creating the looks of several of the unique denizens of Oz, including creatures such as the Whimsies, the Tinkers, and the Winkies, as well as the ghastly look of the Wicked Witch of the West. So we could have a really interesting and stylized remake of The Wizard of Oz, and if it's anything like The Evil Dead, I say hell yes. But now we've got Kevin, I don't know how to pronounce this surname, but it looks like Feige or Feige, explains how they're making the new Hulk more human and less muscular. I didn't even realise they were making a new Hulk, and truth be told, I couldn't give a fuck. Right, let's see what we've got. The 7 greatest faces Taylor Mish makes in the new trailer for Battleship, not interested. Comic-Con 2011, Justin Timberlake, Amanda Seyfried, and Andrew Niccol, or whatever, interview in time, no thank you. Iran releases prominent actor and filmmaker. Jesus Christ. Released on bail after widespread criticism of a crackdown on artists and activists. Iran has released 2 prominent cultural figures from jail following intense criticisms of its crackdown against artists and rights activists. As if arresting you just because you disagree with a government. Fuck me. Outspoken supporter of the country's opposition Green Movement was arrested for 2 weeks ago en route to a Women's World Cup. Wow. Just because they believe in a little thing, you know, a little silly thing called human rights. How bad is that?
Fine. Just wait there.
Let's have a look what we've got. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige again talks about more Hulk details. Not interested. Anything else that's cool? Nope. Lady Gaga Speed Cheater? I think I'd rather suck my own dick. Right, anyhow, back to the gameplay then. There's nothing really on there. So now that we've crossed the ravine and we're doing a lot of ladder dropping and a lot of catwalk walking, we're going to be coming up against another turret here. And to get to this one, we need to first get Tripp. There she is. Tripp needs to come down, and she has to distract the turret while I run on that girder to my right. And I jump onto that water tower or wherever the hell it is. I circle my way around and I take out the turret. from then I can proceed to shoot his buddies and shoot everybody that turns up, and then we carry on with the rest of the level. So there I go, that's the decoy running out. Jump across these you know, strategically placed handholds that, I don't know, some engineer must have been a genius to install for this one moment when I had to scale it. But there's the turret, make sure you take him out. As soon as you see the circle above his head, press B. Be careful though, because if you don't, he will recover and try to dick you like he just did then. And then once you're on him, it's another opportunity to practice your shooting, because they're going to spawn on your left, they're going to spawn above, straight forward, and they're going to spawn on the right. So that's one spawn point over there. The next spawn point is directly to my right, and the other one is that dark room directly above from the middle of the screen when I was looking straight forward. But first she's got to start hacking the door. The hacking the door attracts the dudes, and so on and so forth. There you go, shooting up a storm. Nothing like pre-firing in an Enslaved game. It's unheard of. Oh, here they come. So after the cutscene skips, that is your cue that you're going to have to start shooting people. And as you can see, when you zoom in with this gun, it does become really unmanageable. I can't tell if it's more sensitive when you zoomed or less sensitive. Whichever one it is. The one that's less sensitive is really difficult to... You don't know, the one that's more sensitive, sorry, is the one that is hard to use. Everything else is okay. But there you go. Cleaning shit up. Cleaning shit up. But I don't think you're in any real danger at this moment when it comes to the robot shooting you. The only real threat is if they get close to Tripp, and I do believe that she can EMP them if they get too close, so this is pretty much a very, very simple section. That is a motorbike behind me, and if it comes through on the fucking audio, I'm going to run out and throw a metal bar through his spokes. Inconsiderate douchebag. But just keep shooting. Taking people down. Doing your thing. And that's the only problem with sections like this. They're so hard to commentate because it's so self-explanatory. There's no secret button or secret technique that's going to help you beat it. It's just a case of shoot everything that moves. But you can drop down and you can go through the door here. I generally run around picking up all the orbs to make sure that I've found everything in the area. I know there's a little secret to my right here if you go along the girder and you jump across over there. Just on this section here. There's a nice little secret stash. But there you go. I will say one thing about going to France for 3 weeks. When I get back, Deus Ex will have come out, the Human Revolution, so I'm super stoked for that one. And I'm actually hoping to do a guide that incorporates 3 separate achievements in that game. Because I don't know if you've seen the list, but the separate achievements for, I think it's not getting downed, not getting spotted, and not killing anybody in the entire campaign. And what I'm hoping to do is I'm going to do a run on the hardest difficulty and try and get every one of those other achievements. So it's kind of like a super homicidal, maniac, masochistic, you know, deviant run, pretty much, where I'm taking on every challenge the game has, all in one foul swoop. And I might completely go back on it and say it's the most ridiculous thing I've tried to do and it's just pointless and impossible and broken, or it might be really, really cool to watch and have some really gripping commentary, because if it is challenging and if every second of it is something that you need to pay attention to, then it's going to make my job really easy. It might make for boring commentaries as far as me not talking about the bullshit that happens when I've got a TV behind me or the films I've seen and things like that, but it will definitely benefit the guide itself. And there's another room coming up here where we have to kill a bunch of the robots in it, and then we have to take down a big, giant, you know, metal balled guy again. Which is not too bad, because now that we've upgraded the gun a little bit, it's made it so that we should be able to take down everybody quite quickly. And if you're wondering why I'm not mentioning things that are happening in the background on TV and stuff like I usually do, it's because I'm not commentating this in my conservatory. Unfortunately, right now, because it is, you know, the summer and everything, during the day the conservatory is so hot and so warm, it's just completely pointless to even try and go in there. I can't even see my laptop screen, it's so bright. I do go in occasionally at night. The only problem is that the sofa that's in there is reclined so much that it makes my neck hurt when I commentate for extended periods of time. And I kind of feel like a newborn baby with a giant head. So that's the reason for it, because in my room I do have a TV, I just don't have the TV hooked up so I can actually put TV on. It's pretty much hooked into every games console that I own, and that's its function. But this here, when you drop down into this room, there's a hell of a lot of ammunition to pick up, and the reason for it is there's a lot of enemies, and I'm not quite powerful enough with this gun to kill in one shot, but 2 shots is still better than what it was before. So clean them all up from this vantage point, and then when you drop down you can pick up a refill for your gun, and that wall there that looks suspiciously cracked is going to come crumbling down as one of those giant ballsack guys turns up. Here he is. There he is. Mr. Testes, as I call him. And he's now going to proceed to smash through all the concrete in this area. And you have to do the exact same thing you did before. The only difference now is we have the stun blast, which is absolutely brilliant against him, because as soon as he starts to recover you can just hit him again and get a bunch more free shots off. There you go. And just keep beating him up. And now I've powered up my super special secret weapon. I can always hit him with that when the battle gets too tense or too frenetic for me. And there we go, we fucked him up. To taunt him here, I generally run around this corner and taunt from this bit so that he runs directly into the wall. And once you've done that, you don't have to repeat it 2 more times. He's just a normal enemy now, he's not a boss. Instead, you do this lovely little quick time event where you pull his armor off and then you rip his chains up through his arms and crush his face. Aren't we nice? There you go. Smash. And I think we should be coming to the end of this level, because once you've gone through into the area that he cracked the wall in, it is a cessation of chapter 3. So you come through here, I think she opens the doorway or you throw her up or something along those lines. There's the... yeah, you've got to throw her up first. But as always, I'm going to find every nook and cranny I can. I'm going to get all the ammo and all the resources as possible to make it simpler for the rest of the game. And then we throw her up. Go on, dude, grab her. Get her grabbed. Yeah, we get it. She stood there. That's nice. On the back she goes. Throw her up.
Come on, monkey. Let's go.
And there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope it helped, and I'll see you in the next level. You take care now.